Now bring in somebody who knows Donald Trump and indeed the White House well, Anthony Scaramucci, the Mooch, one of Donald Trump's many aides. You're one of the shorter-lived ones, if I recall. But tell me, Anthony, you are steeped in what's going on. Has Joe Biden won it?
Well, listen, I mean, there's no question that he's won it, and he also flipped some major states. He flipped Wisconsin and Michigan, Arizona. I mean, listen, it's a major victory. And look at the vote count. He has gotten the largest number of votes of any presidential candidate in history. And so, listen, and I'm a numbers guy. Let's not talk my book. Of course, I want the vice president to win, but just look at the tabulation and look at the mail-in voting. 78% of the mail-in voting is going towards him. He won it. He won it fair and square. I just want to tell all the UK viewers that I'm claiming the state of California. I like the tech scene out there. I like the weather. And so I just want everybody to know that I hereby claim the state of California. So this sort of nonsense from the president was very predictable. He had said to us in 2016, fully expected to lose the election to Secretary Clinton, and his narrative was going to be voter fraud. And so he's just repackaged that for 2020. He knows that he put a lid on the White House at 5:22 today. His lawyers are telling him very, very little upside, very little chance of being able to get a recount at Wisconsin and Michigan. And his days in the White House are numbered as they should be, because he's been a terrible president, and he's trying to wreck the global alliance, the post-World War II alliance. He made our country sicker. He made it weaker. He made it poorer. And, you mentioned my short-lived stay in the White House, which was 11 days, but I did work for him for 9 months, and I was on his transition team. But like Secretary Mattis, General McMaster, General Kelly, we got to see the underbelly of Mr. Trump and how nefarious he actually is. And it was our patriotic duty to speak out against him. And the good news is America did listen. This was a trouncing. Had this all come together at 11 p.m., full-blown trouncing, time to go, like hitting the eject button on the old James Bond Aston Martin. So he's gone, and Trumpism will go with him. Well, but I will say, though...
But that's what I want to ask you about. I mean, the Republican Party... initially didn't expect him to win. They then became, many of your Republican colleagues really were in awe of him. Will the Republican Party reject Trumpism now, in your view?
Well, no, they're intimidated by him. I wouldn't say they're in awe of him. Intimidation is a different sort of thing. They don't respect him. They find him vile, but they're afraid of him. That's obvious. Just look at those 52 senators that voted not to convict him. So, but, listen, he got 76 million votes. That should tell you guys that there's something systemically wrong with the United States. There's a very large group of disaffected people in the United States that feel bad about their outcomes for their families and themselves personally, and they see Mr. Trump as an avatar for their anger. He hasn't provided them with a policy solution. So in talking to the Biden campaign this afternoon, once the vice president is president, we have to come up with a policy solution to help those people, because like your country, we have a problem now with nationalism, and we have a problem with populism. And we have to put that to rest. Those outcomes historically are very bad for countries. And that's really what I wanted now. That's really what I wanted to pick up on
with you. I was very struck at the tone and the message that Joe Biden delivered just a sort of an hour or two ago, when he said he was expecting to win, although he wasn't at that point claiming victory. And he said he would govern for all of the United States and not in a partisan way. Do you think he can heal America in the way that you say is desperately needed?
I do. I think Mr. Trump, President Trump, did something remarkable. He brought us all together. He unified the nation. It just happened to be unifying the nation against him. And so you have a coalition of Republicans. You have a coalition of real conservatives, and you go right down the line to the radical left, sort of the Corbynization of America.
But you yourself just said, however, that 76 million people have voted for him, so that he hasn't unified the nation. There's almost half the nation.
No, it certainly has. Hold on a second. Look at the vote tally, and these elections are 55-45 at best. The country is divided. I'm not saying it isn't, but the vice president got the most votes in
Sure.
U.S. history. So that's pretty unifying. There's a lot of people like me that were long-term core conservative Republicans that voted for Joe Biden. And so I think he's going to be a transformative leader, a post-partisan leader at age 78, and we're going to help him. We're going to do everything we can to help him. We got to heal the country. We got to end this sort of partisan rancor.
And just to be clear, there's no question that the Trump family remains ambitious in a political sense. Do you if Donald Trump loses, what chance do you think that, maybe his daughter-in-law or his son will emerge as a leading candidate for the next election?
Well, listen, unlike the president, the president viciously attacked my wife on Twitter. He's gone after me. I have a solemn promise to myself that I don't really talk about his family. I actually got along with them in the campaign last time I was with them. I have nothing against them. If they are politically ambitious, my recommendation to them is to campaign in the free marketplace of ideas in the United States and see what happens. I mean, that's the beauty of a democracy. But I have nothing against them. My issues are with the way he handled the presidency. My issues are with the way he handled the pandemic and how he toppled our economy as a result of the malpractice and the lying about the science and the politicizing the masks related to the pandemic. And so we'll see what happens. But I do think that this is an end of Trumpism as we know it in the United States. And hopefully we can get people to think in a less angry manner about their situation. And I think we can do that if we provide them with some hope and an aspirational policy solution.
Please don't go away, because I want to come back to you in just a moment. I just want to bring in one of my guests here, Ed Balls. I mean, do you think that Trump would have lost if it hadn't been for the way he handled the coronavirus crisis?
I think a year ago, I thought Trump was going to win again. I think actually on the economy, he's kept support, but the pandemic has hit him over the last few months. But I don't really agree with Anthony. I mean, of course, America needs to be healed. We hope Joe Biden can do that if he becomes the president. But America is more divided today than it's ever been. And as for the Trump plan, of course, right now he's causing chaos. Of course, he's thinking about legal challenges. But in my view, what's going on right now is that the campaign launch, Trump 2024, is underway. What Trump wants, I think it will probably be him, could be a family member. What they want to do is have a moral cause. We were robbed. We were excluded by them. We should have won. And there's over 75 million people who have voted for him, and they're already going to be focusing on the next election. And the challenge for Joe Biden, without the support of a Democrat Congress, dealing with the pandemic, to unite America while fighting, and I think this is going to go on for months and years, against the Trump dynasty. I'm not sure the Republican Party will be strong enough to see off Trump. Trump 2024, I think it's launched tonight.
Anthony, if I could just come back to you on just a couple of quick points. There are quite a lot of senior American politicians who I've spoken to who think one reason why Trump is so desperate to cling on is because his business is in severe difficulties, that he may face quite a lot of legal action after he's out of the White House. How much trouble will he be in personally once he's out of the White House?
Well, listen, I only know what's reported in the papers, but if he's got $1 billion of debt outstanding, if you're the sitting president, it's probably a little bit easier to negotiate that debt, even though it would be a violation and a conflict of interest as a result of the presidency. But he's not running in 2024. So we can have that debate when it comes to pass. I said back in January he would lose this election. Everyone said to me, oh, no, he's 100% going to win the election. I said, no, I know the guy. The guy is crazy. You don't have to be a psychiatrist to know that somebody's...
You said on the show he was going to lose the election.
you don't have to... Yeah, I said he was going to lose the election well before the pandemic started, and I said the guy's crazy. And so what ends up happening when you can't manage something, you're not going to be able to manage your way through a crisis. Every president has to deal with one. His happened to be the pandemic. But there's no chance that the guy's running in 2024. He's got health issues that are pretty severe, and he's lost a step. I mean, he had a brilliant show over the last 10 days. He's an incredible show person, but he was loaded up with steroids but he's lost his step. He's not running in 2024. I'll bet the ranch on that. Like I said in January, that he would lose this election. Will one of his kids run? I think there's a very strong possibility of that, but the kids are not him, and we know that, and so we'll have to see what happens. But and there's a lot of young talent coming up now that I think are going to be a little bit more sensitive to human beings and a little bit more empathetic. And so we'll see. But I'm very optimistic about the country, and I think we can heal now that this guy's going to be sent packing on January 20th.
Anthony, as always, it's a great pleasure to see you. Hope you'll come back soon.